We are ready to go in the desert. 2 laps await them, and we are off. And both cars dig in. The back's gripping hold. The sand, the dust flying. It looks like a fairly equal start to both of them taking the lead. It is the Chip Ganassi car. Sarah Price, a fantastic lead off the start there. She's already taken a huge advantage into this. She goes past the big boulders on either side. She's making it down to the first gate. Oh, and look, she must have some sort of issue, because it looks like that it's Ekstrom managing to take the lead. And as they go down to the first gate, it does look indeed like Ekstrom has managed to claw that back somehow out of nowhere. He managed to slingshot himself past Price, and look at that fantastic run down to the first turn. He swings it in, and he's managed to take an early advantage, Karun.
Yeah, I don't know if Sarah Price just came off the gas a little bit there, because you're right, she started off clearly in front and then has lost momentum. She's taking a very different line to Matthias Ekstrom now as she comes through the first gate. They're climbing up the hill, but the gap is opening up. Both drivers, look at the graphic at the bottom of your screen, both drivers hard on the throttle as they come through the gate. But it is Matthias Ekstrom who's come up the hill towards turn 2 in the lead.
What about Price's line through there? He chose to go off to the left-hand side. They've obviously got that in mind as an alternate line. It was absolutely arrow straight and has kept her out the dust. She dives out the other side. Sarah over now the undergrowth on the right-hand side of the track. This is what we were expecting, or maybe hoping to see from these semi-final races, is people choosing an alternate line. Yeah, they're still behind, but she's trying something. Now, the closest we've seen anyone at the top of the hill is about 5 seconds back. I'd say Sarah might be just within that.
Yeah, they go over the jump section now, so it'll be Ekstrom first, and you can see it dips down to the right and then arches over the 100-metre long and 45-degree angle. You can see they're nice and close coming down that. I think this is the closest race we've seen, but Sarah's going to get a bucket load of dust in her face right now.
But the most important thing for her is to stay within striking distance, because I think Kyle LeDuc should have an advantage over Claudia Hurtgen. You know, Claudia Hurtgen, let's not forget, and for those of you who've seen the accident online, perhaps will be familiar with it. She had a monumental crash earlier in the weekend. The team have done an amazing job to rebuild their Odyssey 21 car here. So I think, you know, from the Chip Ganassi team standpoint, what they want is to have the Kyle LeDuc switchover happening at a point where he's at least within striking distance of the apt Cupra car.
I'm thinking back to the start. I'm wondering if maybe Ekstrom used hyperdrive off the start. Perhaps Sarah Price didn't. I mean, you know, that's just one idea. We did see it on the graphics. It's a possibility. Of course, they're going to have hyperdrive to deploy in this second lap. What's your thoughts with Claudia? She doesn't have that much off-road experience anyway, so to have gone into her first off-road race and had that big shunt, what's that going to do to your confidence?
It'll be a massive dent to the confidence, I'm sure. And, you know, the nature of the championship means that you don't get loads of laps of practice to bend yourself back in. So, yeah, she's going to have to be up against it and get on with it when she gets back in. But, you know, you get 4 seconds of hyperdrive, so you get a bit more power whenever you want to use it, really. I think, and sometimes you're right there, because I think Ekstrom would have seen he's lost the start. He's lost a bit of ground early on, and actually getting back in front and getting the visibility to lead was crucial. So that would have been a smart move from him there. He's now coming around this stunning bit of the track. You can see behind Sarah Price now jumping over the road, but the gap is opening up, isn't it?
20-odd seconds last time it was up at the timing screen. Sarah hasn't had a lap, don't forget. Half a lap in shakedown. Yesterday, she fought the car with no power steering around the entire circuit. Bearing in mind, these guys really haven't had much testing time at all. She's learning the track. Ekstrom did get a lap in yesterday as well as in shakedown. I think Price is going to be a bit of a weapon this year, Jenny. I'm looking forward now to the future events and saying, do you know what? They're looking good. I know that Segi was super disappointed with the results this weekend.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by Sarah. I think she brings a lot of pedigree to this championship, and she's just trying to squeeze that gap down. It's around the 19 seconds at the moment, but Ekstrom starting to think about that switch. They'll be starting to prepare in their minds what they can do. Remember, 2 drivers taking to each car, 1 lap each. This is the shootout, the battle for 7th and 8th, getting some lovely sand flicked up the back, pulling out there.
I think this is going to be super close in the second lap. As they come up to the switch zone here, Ekstrom is already thinking about his braking point. He's going through this left-right chicane over a to the left-hand side on this sandier, softer sand, I should say, as he now comes to the switch. Get on the brakes. There's the white marker board. You need to make sure you get the car right down into the speed limit. You get a 5-second penalty for every kilometer you break the limit, so it's crucial to make sure. And we can see Claudia Hurtgen there getting ready to jump in.
Interesting to see Ekstrom looking down at the centre of the dash, where I think there's a speed display, and a lot of the drivers, Corinne, you might be able to tell us about this, but from an electric vehicle point of view, it's hard to judge the speed. Of course, there are less reference points in the desert anyway. He wants to be as late as he can. They've got a speed limiter, but he's maybe trying to get an idea of the pace he's doing on the way in. Seat insert goes in.
Yeah, Claudia climbing aboard now. Bit of a struggle to get in. They've got 45 seconds to do the change, which doesn't sound like a lot, but actually, under normal circumstances, it's pretty comfortable. You should really be able to get the swap done in 25 seconds pretty comfortably. The Chip Ganassi car is also in now. Sarah Price is climbing out. Oh, she's already out. Wow, they're very quick with this swap over.
Hurtgen, they didn't get the wheel on that quickly. Don't forget as well, she's got a sore knee. I think they said from the crash yesterday, she would have been thrashed around in that car. She's got to find her confidence now. With the dust, she can maybe hold LeDuc off, but LeDuc, you know, this is a guy who's got Pro 4 championships coming out of his ears in short course trucks. He's used to trying to pass other vehicles. The dust will be an issue. Yeah,
he's struggling with the wheel.
Struggling with the wheel. Carl LeDuc can't get the wheel onto the car. That's it, it's on. He's good to go.
Needs to get a seatbelt on. His seatbelts aren't done upright at the moment, so he's going to go, but I think he's going to have to be playing with that a little bit on the way out of the switch area.
Messy, but let's try and get a word with one of the drivers who's just got out of the car to see exactly what's happening. You can just see them leaving the switch station now, so let's go down. Layla has caught up with Matthias Ekstrom.
We saw your opponent Sarah with a very strong start. Did you use hyperdrive to take over at the beginning there?
No, I didn't use hyperdrive at the start because I saw she did, so I just went opposite.
And how did you manage to get that right? What line did you choose?
No, I think the start you saw that she was on the inside, she took the hyperdrive, and I decided to do turn 1 normal, and then I took my hyperdrive and I passed it down to turn 2, so it was pretty straightforward.
You've done a switch there with a really nice strong gap. How confident are you in your teammate now?
Yeah, I think Claudia is back in the car first time since the accident, so I hope she can have a clean run and end on a good.
Thank you very much.
26 seconds is the deficit at the minute for Carl LeDuc. He's down to 24 already, so grew 2 seconds on the run up to that next bit, but it's going to be, as he gets closer, it's going to be more difficult to close that gap.
It's going to get tricky because of visibility. Here we go on board with Carl LeDuc, and you can see, I mean, even from this distance, you can see the dust, but he's got to have a go here. You know, this is their chance to try and capitalize. He's got the speed. As you said, he's already taken a couple of seconds out just on the run to the first corner, and it's now down to 23. And he's got to try and capitalize on it. Whether he's able to find the space to get the move and the visibility to get close enough, first of all. But once let's see, he gets there, finding the space with his rocky surface. Look, away from the racing line, we can see from this fantastic onboard. To the left and to the right, you've got these tufts of the ground, you've got the rocks there, and the gap is sort of stabilized. Claudia's doing a great job here.
Yeah, she's
holding the gap around 23, 24 seconds.
Really confident drive from her, especially after that big incident that she had yesterday in qualifying. But this is a fascinating chase down battle now. LeDuc doing a good job as well. Very committed. We've seen him across the weekend. He had a big shunt as well himself. Did a lot of damage to that Chip Ganassi racing car. But he's trying and fighting. You can see the graphics there, the torque, the throttle. Really giving it some now, up to 122. You've got to mind those big tufts as well, haven't you, Andrew? We've seen in the past that grass can be a real catch-out.
That's the biggest issue for them with an alternate line. Yeah, you take the alternate line, but if you're trying then, particularly if the visibility's bad, should you come out of the dust and find one of those big pieces of undergrowth just in the middle of the road, that pitch Sarah's added to a massive roll, and it was game over straight away. Now the gap's come down to 16 seconds, so 8 seconds on that last section of the track.
Yeah, about halfway through this lap now, coming through the 5th gate, and the gap is coming down. Nice to see Chip Ganassi here, a motorsport legend, of course, in North America, with a huge amount of success there to the left of your screen, and nice to see him out here in the desert for the first round.
Carl LeDuc, what can he do? Committed through the braking zone there. Now the gap's down to 14. That's where we saw Molly Taylor so committed. In the background, you might just see him around the back end. There's a long flat run now back, Jenny. Hurtgen not that committed over the road crossing. I think you'll find LeDuc will take that flat. The gap's properly visible now. It is really coming down. He's hunting her down.
Yeah, this is the moment when you have to pick your line, decide what you want to do, commit to it, and just go and see if you can close that gap down, see if you can get out of that dust zone to give yourself space. And he is really trying to push and close himself in this, what is the last lap, the final lap of this race for the shootout.
And the team can, of course, communicate on the radio to both drivers, frankly, but LeDuc, certainly they'll be egging him on. I don't think that gap is 21 seconds. I think that graphic is slightly updated, but it's certainly coming out. Look, we can see them now in that shot. The gap is oh, she was a bit tentative there into that left-hander.
LeDuc on a big push now, trying to close down the gap to Hurtgen in front. Hurtgen has been a bit tentative and over the top of the dune, absolutely sideways. LeDuc is on it now. He's right up behind. The dust isn't too bad. This is proper sand. That's where Hurtgen had her crash yesterday. She's got him backed off. He's in the dust now, looking for a way through. No, lifting. Oh, he hits her into the back. He hits Hurtgen completely unsighted. He hit the back of the car. That's not what we wanted to see.
Very difficult situations for both of them. You can see LeDuc pushing.
Ganassi not happy with that.
Red flag, red flag, red flag.
They're not happy. They're really unfortunate. I mean, that's a visibility issue, I'm sure. LeDuc couldn't see where he was going. Well, I'm sure we'll get the onboard in a minute, but he came down that hill so quick, and you can see the damage there to the apt Cupra car.
The command centre designed to host the drivers, and we always knew it would be difficult if there was a little bit of fisticuffs out on the course. Very difficult situation to be stood next to another team. Let's just have a replay of what happened.
So here we go, coming down the hill. You can see Hurtgen in front, a bit tentative over the top of the hill, and that's given LeDuc this run, but we're on board with him now. And I think as he got over those ruts in the road, he launched it at a much higher speed. And perhaps without the visibility, he couldn't quite work out that Claudia lifted off. She was much more tentative over those
Red
jumps.
flag.
And,
red flag. MBB is on site. Both drivers are out of the car.
A huge difference in the speed between the two cars.
That was, from the onboard, that was pretty terrifying. And of course, Claudia's not going to have seen that from behind. Kyle, that's going to have appeared from the dust in an instant. They're both out of the car. That's great news. Both drivers are out of the car and standing. So
it's been an expensive weekend for both of those teams, isn't it? That's the second accident for both of those cars this weekend.
Front left corner, look how far back that's pushed on LeDuc's car. Two drivers are talking to each other. I'm pretty sure we saw in a previous shot in the dust that Kyle was going over to Hurtgen's car. He would never ever hit the car on purpose at that pace. What he's done is he's committed trophy truck style across those ruts. He knew that probably that was one of the places he could make up the time, and unfortunately Hurtgen had lifted more than he thought she would.
You got both sets of drivers as well now talking to each other in the command centre. You got the drivers that were first out, Sarah Price, Matty and Ekstrom, having a conversation to each other. Down here, Kyle and Claudia, and this is race control at the moment.
We've got the big forklift there to try and clear it up. Here we go, this is on board with LeDuc. This is the visibility I was talking about. His windscreen's already pretty dirty at this point. He's coming down the hill, you can see. And he's going to go through this gate. We're going to get a couple of big bumps. Watch out here. And he's carried, there we go, so much more speed. And he wasn't expecting Claudia to be there. You know, it's
the perfect storm.
It's just the perfect storm, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't think it's fair to blame either driver there. Claudia went through that section of the track as fast as she was comfortable and confident doing, and LeDuc just didn't expect her to be there. We could see from the rearward shot, here are these jumps in the road, and you'll suddenly see LeDuc's car jump up in the air just before, there we go, just before he makes contact.
Jenny, this is the point yesterday that Claudia had the crash, the run from the crest down. So already she's just come through a section where she's thinking, I'm just going to wind it back in a little bit. And then unfortunately, you know, she's lifted that road as well. We're going to go to Sarah Price in command
Matthias,
centre.
I see you're here in the command centre watching what happened. From your opinion, from your eyes, tell us what went wrong.
No, very obvious from the pictures that down the fast corner where Claudia had the accident yesterday, for some reason she is going a bit, I would say, a bit slower, and then Kyle is flat out in the dust, and I think he can't see her. And then when they come around the corner, he's much faster than she is, and just ran into the back of her. So, I mean, it's difficult to see. If you would have a vision, you wouldn't. It wouldn't happen. But with the dust, I think probably she took it careful, and he was flat out. So that's the consequence of it.
Understood. And Sarah, from your point of view as well, the vision must have been difficult for him.
Oh yeah, that is, you know, when I was behind Matthias go off the line, I used hyperdrive trying to dust him out first, but he saw me do that. He used it right after me and he made the pass, but we had some alternate lines that we were kind of looking at, so if I did get in the dust, we had a plan. I had taken those lines in that race, but I had never taken them before, so it was something new, but I tried to stay as close as I could to him until we got to parts where you just can't get out of the dust and you can just drive what you see, and that's what off-road racing has kind of taught me. And, you know, I think in this accident, Kyle was just trying to push and make up time since we were in second, and, you know, obviously he couldn't see.
Thank you very much.
Difficult decisions for the drivers there, Sarah Price and Matthias Ekström from the Chip Ganassi and App Cupra teams side by side in that command centre.
Let's take a step back from the shunt and think about, okay, it's dusty here. We're going to 5 different locations around the world. It's not going to be dusty everywhere, and you're going to have to adjust your driving style and your approach to the event according to what the surface is like. Now, when we go to Greenland and there's going to be a glacier in the background, it's probably going to be gravel. Karun, I think on the basis of this, if we're looking at tactics, we could see some great racing where people are trying to chase someone down. You know, Kyle's chase there was mega. Unfortunately, the pass didn't come off.
Yeah, listen, every one of these locations are going to be challenging in their own way, and that's why it's going to be extreme. You know, that's the nature of this championship. Here, it's dust. In another place, it will be a rocky surface, a slippery surface, an icy surface. You know, we're going to in the Amazon area. You know, you're going to have a slush probably. Yeah. So that's the challenge of the championship, and they're all learning all the time. The teams and the drivers are learning how to get the best out of their package. So, yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. I feel bad for the mechanics because that Chip Ganassi team were working till 3 in the morning to rebuild that car before this accident today. Yeah, just really, really unfortunate for both of them, really. And in some ways, as I think you use the right term, it's a perfect storm. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Just one of those things.
Anywhere else on the track, Hurtgen might not have lifted so much, but with yesterday's issue, she's just got through the bit and gone, I'm through mega. I'm leading. There's only a few corners to go. Let's take it steady over this road crossing. And Kyle has gone, this is my last chance to get this job done. I'm going to go flat over the road crossing and win it or bin it. Unfortunately, he's probably thinking in terms of, you know, the car will either make the crossing or it won't. What he wasn't expecting was Claudia to be in the dust.
Absolutely. Well, another dramatic race. If extremely is anything, it is back-to-back action, back-to-back challenges, and intense drivers